How far ahead do you work? Like how you must have, because you seem to be quite organised. You come across as being chaotic, but you're not chaotic.
I'm quite a tidy person, Johnny, as you know.
You are. His workshop's very methodical, and so there's method to the madness, as it were, in that you're not just winging it.
Sometimes, like if you take the tunnel videos, don't know if anyone knows, I'm digging a secret underground tunnel from my shed to my house. Can't really call it secret anymore, can I?
No, not really.
No, it was a secret though.
It's a full tunnel.
I started it in 2018, and then every time the neighbours went on holiday, I would jackhammer and go a bit down a bit more.
You just wait for them to go on holiday?
Yeah, I always wait for them to go away or go out, because you can't be jackhammering next door. That's inconsiderate, Johnny. So it took me like 2.5 years to get down. It's about 3.6 metres deep, the actual shaft. And then over like last year, I was like, well, I'm fed up with this now. I want to start going sideways. And then I basically made all this hydraulic equipment for like pushing the rock out of the way. So you're never actually whacking anything. He just pushes it out of the way, drops it into a bucket, and then you winch it out. Now, technically, there was 4 videos I started releasing about May time. So in theory, they were weeks ahead of reality. Like when the first one went out, we were concreting it at the end, sort of thing. We were quite far advanced. But yeah, I've got another one going out this Thursday, which is from yesterday.
Okay.
So that's.
You're living in my world now.
Yeah. So it's now nearly in real time.
Yeah.
But and I very rarely put a build video out before I know there's does it work? Yeah. So I won't put out, right, I'm making this, then we're going to go and test it. Always make sure, go and test it first, just in case it's really bad, not as fast or as impressive as you want it to be. Because if you're going to stick a video out, it's either got to be really successful or fail spectacularly.
Yes.
Anything else in the middle is just nah.
So you've got your cars now. You've got the BMWs we talked about. You've got a modern. Is it an M3 or is it?
I've got the F80 M3, which I bought to replace a 335D.
Yes.
But never did.
So you've still got
I couldn't get rid of it.
And you've got the obviously the DeLorean that you've just turned up in.
Got DMC.
And about 2 weeks ago you bought something else.
Yes, I'm getting my 80s car collection up. So I've got kit now from Knight Rider. It's fully Knight Rider spec'd. It's got everything in it. It's got the dash, the weird steering wheel. So which I'm interested in driving. It's a manual as well. This one.
Is it?
It is a manual. Yeah. So. It will be the first left-hand drive, which is not an auto, because that's auto. So you just get in that and you just go, real simple. So yeah.
Is there anything else? Any other cars that I've forgotten about that you
No,
own?
Hilux, hot tub car, E30 Sport, and then the 2 newer Beamers.
Yeah.
The DMC and the kit. Which leads us on to where am I going to put them, Johnny?
Yeah.
So anyway, the tunnel at the moment goes from the shed to the house, or it will do. Colin's had an idea. What if we continue to go forward to the front of the house, dug the whole drive up, car come up out the drive?
Oh.
You've got to admit, that is cool. So you can pull up to your house, push a button, something will lift up, drive on, down you go, then you can get out, and then go to the tunnels, come up in the pantry.
So is that honestly what you're going to do?
That is the plan.
So subterranean garage.
Yeah, this is going to take some working out. It's essentially, if you can imagine an MOT ramp buried in the ground with a lid on it, that'll be the drive. Yeah. So it will push up, drive will go up. If it's a decent enough thingy, it could even lift the car up on the top. Yeah. That'll be scary, but because if something goes wrong, I can tip it into the neighbour's garden. So that'll go up. So you'll drive on, come down, and I thought about having like a secondary platform on top of that, which can then be picked up by something in the underground thingy and then dragged across.
Oh, like a shuttle.
Yeah, yes, so it can be dragged across, spin it round, because depending on what car I'm in, if it's a left hooker, then it's good, because then when it comes across, I'll get out the side of the car, of which the tunnel entrance will be.
Hang on.
But if I'm in a right-hand drive...
Basically, you're building a landlocked Tracy Island out of your house.
Why not?
Because that's what it is.
Because that's like what we all dream of. Like, blokes, for some reason, love tunnels, love digging. Like, loads of people on the internet are like going, oh, I've always wanted to do this since I was a kid.
Tell me about like what inspired you to do this. As in, like, I know you're a bit of a prankster. I know you wanted to show off with BMXs, and you're actually a pretty handy rider/driver, because in order to not crash all these vehicles you've built, you've got to have a level of strength and control.
I think I've got quite a good balance from the BMX days.
Yeah.
That's other than that. I mean, I'm sure, if I went on a track day, I wouldn't be particularly fast, just because, well, I'd try and go fast. But I drive a van. And, it's all right having fast cars and stuff, but going fast on public roads, you're just going to stick it in the edge.
Well, hang on a minute. Ford are in desperate need of building another super van.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone was going to help build a super van, as long as they didn't mind it being a little bit dangerous.
Oh, yeah, totally. Okay.
Maybe a little bit of shorter flame out the back, Colin, if you could.
Yeah, see, I can do flamethrowers now.
Because you've got the license.
I've got the license.
So you have a firearms license?
I am a registered firearms dealer because this is absolute madness, I know. But basically, registered firearms dealers, if you engrave guns, if you're an engraver and you engrave guns, they'll probably make you a firearms dealer, because a firearms dealer can manufacture, assemble and disassemble guns. I can't sell guns, really. There'll be covenants on it. To say, and I don't want to buy and sell guns either. I'm not interested in that. Paperwork's ridiculous. So I've got that. So because when I made the Apple gun, I made an semi-automatic Apple gun for the screw tank, and
of course,
if you make an Apple launcher, if it has more than 20, or it's 11, foot-pounds of force, then that goes into being a firearm.
It's a ballistic.
It's a ballistic machine, and this was because it would stick an apple through a piece of 3/4 ply. At 6 meters, so not super close. I tested this out in the bunker, because the bunker essentially is like an underground firing range.
It
so
is.
I set it up in the bunker and tested it. It was just handy, wasn't it? Because it's there. And so that was too powerful. So that ended up being the catalyst for me getting that.
What's, you probably can't tell us what kind of projects, contraptions you're working on next, but
It's literally just a tunnel at the minute.
It's just a tunnel.
Yeah, I've done a few videos over the summer, and all the comments were, where's the tunnel? We're not interested in this. Just want the tunnel.
Seriously?
So I just thought, well, do you know what I mean? So I've just got to finish the tunnel. So we're nearly at the point now, I'm about, 10 centimetres away from turning left to cut, then go underneath the house to come up in the pantry.
What about a bucket list of vehicles? Do you have a motorbike license?
I do, yeah, I do have a full bike licence, yeah.
You don't ride a road bike?
I used to have a supermoto.
Did you?
So, but then it was in the garage, and I never used it. And then somebody offered me some money for it. So I thought, it doesn't get used.
Hang on,
I kind of wish I hadn't sold it. Actually,
you sold something.
I did sell something, yeah. So because that was completely in the way.
What about cars coming next? Vehicles? What's next on the list?
Well, I've got kit. I've got the Back to the Future car. I'm not going to... Everyone asks, are you going to put all the flux capacitor stuff in? I'm not going to. As you can see, it's pretty good nick. And to do that, you have to butcher it too much. So the last one on my 80s childhood car list is the General Lee.
Ah,
so
the General Lee.
Yeah, so you might not be the only person with a Charger in Stamford at some point. But I've got nowhere to put it. So I need to finish this blooming underground car park to stow kit, Night Rider, or whichever two I've put under there. And then I might have got a spare space then to get the General Lee.
Do you get bogged down with YouTube, as in the comments that you feel like you got to reply to, or DMs on Instagram, or because how many subscribers are on your channel now?
I'm on 11.4 million.
11 million subscribers, man. It's just.
But after a certain number, it's nearly irrelevant, because I was really you get a diamond play button at 10 million subscribers, and I was really focused on, I want to get that. Once I get that, that'll be really cool. And then you kind of get it, and then it's but what happens now? Because the next one's for 100 million, which is just insane. I mean, the amount of work it's took me to get to 10, it would just kill me. That's just it's too far. And also, after a while, you kind of just want to sit back and enjoy sort of what you've done, really.
Yeah.
So you've created this audience and this YouTube channel. I'm not starting from scratch now. So, I still get companies come toward, like Ford, that want to spend money on projects and stuff. And whether you've got 4 or 5 million or 10 million, that doesn't change. Once you get to a certain level, that's it, sort of thing. So whether I've got 11 or 12, I don't really try not to focus on that too much and try and just concentrate on what do I want to make, what would be really cool, and then just do that. Which is why I've ended up doing the tunnel, because I for some reason I really want tunnels under my house. so and it has transferred, and because of that, that's made some of the best videos I've made in the last year, because everybody loves the tunnel.
It's good for when you're isolating. Building a tunnel on your own is perfect.
It's fantastic.
Do you feel in charge of your life?
Yeah, I suppose to a little bit, but But every now and again, I still do feel the pressure. Like this next tunnel video, I feel like I've got to do this soon because everyone's asking for it. And you don't want to disappoint people, but
I know I was going to ask you about your, on a very lower level, these brown chairs that we do the idle chats with have become a little bit infamous. And I actually now really don't like them because they're too difficult to move around because they don't fold up and they're actually in really awkward shape. Your shirt and your bad tie have become synonymous with your sort of persona.
Well,
do you hate them now?
I don't hate it.
Where did the look come from?
It actually come from the Wall of Death, because the moped I used when I originally bought it, because, well, basically, you could cast this whole part of my life back to going to see the Italian MotoGP at Mugello. Me and Rick went to Mugello Saturday night after qualifying. Well, to be fair, at most GPs in Europe, the place goes absolutely mental. They were cutting trees down. One bloke torched his motorhome. They're
that was
revving.
you, wasn't it?
They bring engines in crates. Like, you'll get like a CBR 600 engine in a frame, and they'll just sit there bouncing it off the rev limiter all night. Just like, well, what do it, sort of thing. I mean, me and Rick absolutely loved it. We thought this is, it's people bombing around on mopeds, like wheeling. I mean, God knows how the place looks so idyllic still. You'd think after 2 years it would just be a barren desert. But anyway, we come back from that thinking we've got to go to a MotoGP and just have that much fun. So we went to Newark Auto Jumble the next year, all bought mopeds for 50, 100 quid or whatever it was. And then we went to Le Mans, to the French MotoGP, and the plan was, got a moped there, go crazy, torch all the mopeds, do you know what I mean, do all stupid things. And we did to some of them. Some of them never came back. But mine, I got really attached to it. It was a Honda Sky, and it was like a beigey colour when I bought it. And I looked at it and thought, that's the sort of moped that an old guy that smokes 40 a day would ride. So every time I rode this moped, I had a set of green cords on and this shirt and tie and a jacket. That became my moped clothes. So do you know what I mean? You can't ride the moped without the moped clothes. And then, of course, I ended up bringing mine back. And then when we made the Wall of Death, I thought, well, I've got to wear my moped clothes, haven't I, if I'm going to wear on the moped. So I ended up going around the Wall of Death, and everyone was like, he's not got a helmet on, but he's got his safety tie. And that's where it come from. And then
are you saying that the people from YouTube almost propagated the...
Yeah, this was all your fault. This is nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
So they and I kind of thought as well, because the internet was in its infancy, and I kind of looking ahead thinking, well, if I always wear the same clothes, if I do something different, like a Wall of Death or a world's fastest mobility scooter, you might tie the two together if I look the same in them. And then people think, wasn't that guy that did the Wall of Death? Yeah. And it does work. And like your missus said, it's a bit like Clark Kent. Because I've been walking around here all day in a black T-shirt, and you do get people coming up to you, but then as soon as I put this on, people are drawn to it a bit more.
That's the equivalent of Madonna going shopping with a baseball cap on and her hair all tucked away.
So, or just taking some glasses off. I did a thing in Amsterdam, this talk at this tech fest. I walked straight through the place in normal clothes. Nobody batted me.
What, like backpack and...
Just literally, just T-shirt on, walked straight through, nobody said anything. Come back with my shirt and tie on, and then all of a sudden there's it's Colin. And I'm like, do I look that different? Do you know what I mean? And then I was like, have I got a really boring generic face that loads of people have got, and I could just be anybody? I don't know.
How bizarre. That's really bizarre.
I've got to be honest, when I went over to see you when you arrived, I didn't spot you immediately because I was expecting you already got the uniform on.
Exactly.
I was a bit thrown off.
It's a perfect disguise.
Yeah.
You can just switch it off. Get a Morrison's, nobody cares. Put your shirt and tie on. Whoa, he's fuzzy.
It is Clark Kent. Tell me about like your which cars you're into, as in what eras. You're similar age to me, and Rich. So this is a whole 80s car thing you quite like because of films and TV. What other eras are you interested in? Older cars than that, or slightly newer cars than that?
I think if you look at the pickup trucks now, like there's the Isuzu over there, it looks really cool, but I prefer the what would you say, the sizes and the shapes of the 80s car. Like my Hilux, I think in proportion to the person looks better. It's not got all the crumple zones on it. It's not got the big plastic bumpers and things like that. It just looks more of a man's machine. And I don't look at it and think, yeah, that looks really cool. But if you drove that into a river, you'll get some water in a black box and the whole thing will shut down. Yeah. You can drive it around with the doors open. It doesn't beep at you. It doesn't care if you've got a seatbelt on. Do you know what I mean? It just, cars that do not care, they're the ones.
They're the servant.
Yeah. I like that era where before it got all safe. So, but the only thing, obviously, the newer stuff, the engine power, and obviously that is obviously better because, like the E30 325 Sport, I remember, when I was 17, we used to think it was a fast car. Whereas I get in it now, and it's not that special really compared to modern stuff. But just the sound of them, and also the difference. Like cars have more character up until a certain point because obviously now we all use wind tunnels, computers to design them. You put the same requests in, you're going to get the same answer out. So a lot of cars, you could nearly have a base chassis with just slightly different panels and different sticker on it, and then it's, you get they're all quite similar, aren't they? As a silhouette, they're quite similar. So,
is there anything that you're actually really scared of, like you? And I don't mean necessarily.
You can't mix peas and mashed potato.
No.
No, I'm not very good at food. I went on this show, The Great British Menu, last year, and that for me, I was generally nervous before I went on that show. I'm like, what are they going to feed me?
What? Because you are quite funny with food.
Oh yeah, real fussy. I eat everything separately. Up until I was like 20 something, I didn't used to have gravy.
Okay.
And like that, so I look back and I think that's madness. Like to think I used to eat everything like completely dry. But like pizzas, like you do pizzas over here, and I'm like, can you not have too much tomato stuff? Like if I go Pizza Hut, I'll ask basically for cheese on toast. So honestly, you want to try a Pizza Hut with no tomato puree or whatever it's called? It is lovely. Load of salt on it. It's beautiful.
It's a salty bread.
Salty bread. Oh, cheese. You got the cheese.
Salty cheese bread.
So yeah, so I'm quite. I don't like things like that. I won't do a parachute jump for some reason. I've just like put in that much faith into somebody else packing the parachute. I suppose I'm a bit of control freak. Not a very good passenger. Do you know what I mean? If I'm not driving, I'll get like car sick or whatever. I always like to be in control of my own destiny as well. Like I remember, like young, we went out for a night out in Coventry, and I was just like, "Oh, this is terrible. I want to go home," but I couldn't because I wasn't the driver. Little things like that. If I'm the driver, I know if I get fed up, I can just leave. So, but actually, physically, I'm not with spiders, snakes, and things and stuff like that.
Heights, you're all right with heights?
No, good with heights, to be fair.
Yeah.
I can go up ladders and climb up stuff. Yeah, I could go up there and not be too bad.
Have you ever done a bungee jump?
No, I tore all the ligaments in my knee on my BMX when I was 18. And I always imagine if I do a bungee jump, like this leg will stretch. No, I'll be like, can you tie it more to that leg? Sort of thing. So, yeah, things like that don't really appeal to me that much, just jumping off and dangling around. But then it's mainly it's the paying for it as well. Still tight, so tight.
I remember you admitting to me you're legendarily tight.
I want to try and teach my kids to be tight, because if you teach your children to be tight, it will get them out of so many vices. And also being a little bit fussy with the food, because I've never taken any drugs, anything like that. Never, if somebody come up to me in a club and go, do you want this? Do you want like a pill? No. I don't even have peas in, mashed potato. I'm not putting that in my mouth, am I? And that's before they get to the price. No, but I used to go out in town.
Is that because you don't know who's made it? So let's say.
Well, I can't swallow pills very well either.
Right.
What if you put some gravy on them?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you're going wrong.
But one of the first time I had to ever swallow pills was when I burnt myself. There's a video online where I made this jet engine in the shed, using no welder. Because I basically made this jet barbecue, which was like a turbo off a lorry. And basically we were trying to cook food on the exhaust of it. Worked a treat, lovely. And I was doing like how to build it. And everyone was like, oh, I was going to make this. But then it all started to get a bit complicated with all like the oil system and all the welding and stuff. And I was like, right, we can't have people being put off by the complexity of something which is not really that complex. So I went into home base. We got a bog brush tube, a toilet roll holder. I had a lorry off a turbo off a transit van, and then some bits of plumbing pipe. Put it all together using no welder. So it was held together with like a chain, with like a bolt, like crimping it together. A little bit of silicone around the turbo manifold bit. And then for the oil system, I just would pour it in the top, catch it coming out the bottom, and just keep doing that. It was never going to last very long, but it was just proof of concept. You know, it's a simple system. So anyway, I thought, right, testing time. Got it all like screwed up to the bench. Neighbours were having like a tea party in the garden. And I thought, they ain't going to appreciate this. Because when they start up, they literally sound like jet engines. Well, they do, they're jet engines. So I shut all the doors in the shed. And then just before I started doing it, I went in and had something to eat, come back out, and I hadn't tightened the gas bottle connection up properly. So it was just in loose. So there was me trying to start it up in the shed. And basically I was leaking gas all the way onto like the bench. And then, of course, it went to pop into life, spat a flame out, whole bench went up in flames. Like, literally, massive fireball. It opened the shed doors at the back, which, if I think back now, would have been not locked, but pulled to and the bolt put across. It opened them up, and then basically took all the skin off, like both my arms, a little bit off the tip of my nose and some around my face. So I was on my own. So I ran upstairs, got in the shower, was like sat there. So then I Googled, like in the shower, what do you do if you burn yourself really bad? Turns out you put cling film around it.
Yes.
So then went downstairs, tried to put cling film on, which when you're soaking wet naked is not easy. Like cling film at the best of times a fight, isn't it? But like you're soaking wet,
naked.
Sort of like burnt and naked, and you're like trying to basically turn yourself into a sandwich.
I think the last question I was going to ask you is, since you've built up this sort of YouTube kind of career success, you've actually got to work with quite a lot of very famous people, and some of them have come to your house, into your...
I've had Del Boy in the bunker watching TV.
Yeah,
So,
Mr. Bean.
Yeah. Mr. Bean's not been to the house, but I've met him. He never come to the shed.
Joe Wicks has been in your house.
I've had Joe Wicks trying to run up the staircase treadmill.
Give me some of your more interesting memories of meeting certain people.
We've had David Jason. He was a really nice bloke. 'Cause it's always a worry, isn't it, when you meet somebody that you know or think's really famous. They come round and you're like,
I think several thousand people have done it to me today.
Didn't really like him
Richard
that
as well.
much. Do you know what I mean? Or he was a bit weird or whatever.
Also, they come round. Generally, they don't come round would be the first
Well,
thing.
I suppose not.
Oh, bloody hell, Beyonce's here again.
But yeah, he just come round for some coffee. But no, he was really good. And even when we stopped filming, he was constantly asking questions about things because he makes automatrons or whatever it is.
Automatrons?
Yeah, automatrons. He makes them in his shed. So I think he's quite a practical person himself.
So David Jason, good egg.
David Jason was good. Gary Lineker come round for the Walker's Crisps because I did these things to make inventions to hide Walker's Crisps.
Oh, yeah.
When he first turned up, it was really weird because, like, I don't know, these A-list celebrities obviously get looked after really well. And the production company that was kind of dealing with it was like, right, can we set up like a green room somewhere in your house? And I was like, I suppose you could use Jake's bedroom. so he turns up in a taxi.
Put him in your son's
and they literally take him upstairs to like my son's bedroom. And I think he'd not long got off. I think he got back from somewhere like abroad or whatnot. I don't think they briefed him what he was actually doing. So he's been like taken to like some semi-detached house in a housing estate to film an advert, which is normally like, mega production. Took up into a kid's room, sort of thing, and just sat there, sort of thing. And I just remember going up there. I was like, "Are you all right? I don't know why they've put you up here. It's a bit weird, isn't it?" So I've actually got a picture of Gary Lineker in my bed.
Really?
Because one of the inventions was this lamp sat next to the bed, and I was like, I'll get in bed and pretend this thing is these crisps are going to come out. So I got a picture of him in my bed.
So Lineker, Del Boy from
Del Boy,
Horses.
Lineker. Steve Jones has been round, the Formula One dude. He's tall. He knocked it. Because the shed, I used to think I was a tall person because I've been this height since I was about 11. and then everybody overtook me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm 5'9" or whatever. No, 5'11". But loads of people that come around all bang their head on the top of the shed because I built it to me.
I mean, it is quite low.
Yeah, you struggle with it, don't you?
Yeah.
So he come round, he banged them. I can't think who else we've had, really. Obviously, I've met Mr. Bean. I've stepped on Rita Ora's dress because we were doing this thing for Google, and we did like the rehearsal, and we were all lined up, and I walked over, and then I like Steph, and she went to walk off, and it like yocked her off, and I was sorry.
Have a Madonna moment.
So, and I was like, oh, that was me. But she was quite cool. Oh, no, it was not with Rita, it was Paloma Faith. Sorry.
Okay.
They look the same to me. So, same sort of stuff. And I can't remember. Oh, I've high-fived James Corden at another Google event. He high-fived me on the way out.
Who are your fans? Who are your biggest fans?
It's a sausage party. It's 97% male, and I think the 3% is mums showing their kids on their phones. So okay. It's mostly blokes. It's quite broad over the ages, but it's mostly 25 to 45. Okay. But from going to events and stuff, like when I've done like the maker fairs and stuff, you can't draw a Colin Furze watcher. They are very different. You know, they're all sorts of people. You've got like, I was at when I did the eco thing for Shell the other week, and I was at this like hotel in Canary Wharf, and there was these two, like this guy and this woman having like a business meeting at breakfast, and I was sat there thinking like, it's a business meeting, and then he got up and was like, oh, watch you, how's the tunnel coming on? And I was literally like, oh my God.
How's the tunnel?
Do you know what I mean? And it was like, you know, they were all talking about stocks and shares and, you know, buying stuff. And then he
building a tunnel
sort of thing. So you just, it can come from anywhere, literally anywhere.
Listen, I've always enjoyed the things. I've always enjoyed your ambition, and I think it's just been wonderful to have you at the event tonight and have a chit chat. We've got to wrap it up here, I'm afraid.
It's all good.
So I hope you've enjoyed this idle chat with Mr. Furze and my friend Richard Porter. And if you haven't subscribed already to the Late Break Show, please subscribe and like if you want to like, but I'm not going to force you. And
how do you force somebody though
to like?
Yeah.
Well, that's kidnap and sort of.
You've got a weapons license. How do you force people?
I suppose I'll just keep them in my tunnel.
Don't make me build another tunnel for you.